And we are live. Good evening to you all. Hello.
Hey everyone.
Welcome to another edition of Early Night Live. What year is it?
What show is this?
I don't know. The Attractions podcast. Sorry, everyone. It's been a day. Nathan, hello. Cool. Thank you. Michael, it's time for the podcast. Also, if everything goes well this week, I'll be leaving for Florida on Friday. Finally,
Congratulations.
congrats. Yay. And Rodney, good evening to you, sir. And John,
Hi,
as
John.
well. All right, we're just going to let the room fill up a little bit. We have an interesting show for you this week because not only do we have our usual news in the queue and main attraction, but we also have a little special thing that you will only get to hear if you listen to the audio version that will come out tomorrow.
Yeah, sorry you're not going to get to hear it live tonight, but
We can't.
totally worth getting the podcast for.
Yes, we can't stand to hear the sound of our own voices, so...
No.
Sad for Horizon Forbidden West being delayed. Yeah, honestly, I didn't think it was going to make its 2021 release date. I'm not surprised. Nathan, what's up, Attractions Magazine? Not
Hey,
much.
Nathan.
Just chilling. Okay, we are at a steady 45. So, we just hit 50. All right.
Let's do it.
I'm calling it in 3, 2. Hello and welcome to episode 98 of the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by Destinations with Character Travel. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Seth.
And we're here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news and more, as well as what's going on in our own lives. Seth, how has your past week been?
It's been great. Thank you so much for asking. Highlight of my week was I got to go out and do a little media preview of the Carnival Mardi Gras, which is the brand new ship that just launched. In fact, our publisher, Matt, is on the inaugural cruise right now. Hopefully he's not spending his Wi-Fi package streaming this. But if you're, hi, Matt.
Hi.
So I got to tour the ship. I got to sample a lot of the restaurants, which were great. And most importantly, Matt and I got to be a couple of the very first riders on Bolt, which is the world's first roller coaster on a cruise ship. So that was really great to be able to do just for the novelty of it. To be honest, if you're a coaster fanatic, you're not going to be too impressed with it as a roller coaster. It's sort of like when they built a tiny little roller coaster at the top of the Stratosphere Tower in Las Vegas, and it was basically a little kiddie coaster, but because it was on top of Stratosphere, they could charge a whole lot of money for it. It's just the same sort of thing. I don't necessarily think it's worth the $15 for one ride that they're charging.
Oh, you have to pay.
Yeah, it's not included with your cruise. But it was very nice of them to invite us out and get to check that out. And what about you? Did you have an exciting week?
I did. Most exciting parts, I think. Last night I got to catch the Green Knight at my local Alamo Draft House, and it was
Yay, Draft House.
Beautiful. A beautiful, just like feast for the eyeballs movie. It is not your typical like medieval movie, so don't go into it expecting that. A lot of the negative reactions I've seen online have been people who thought it was going to be one thing and then got there and then realized it wasn't that thing at all. But it was so good. And then today, in fact, a few hours ago, I got a new tattoo, and I will not be showing you because it looks really gross right now. But yeah.
You are a lot braver than I am. I've never gotten a tattoo. I don't like pain.
For me personally, and I know a lot of people who have tattoos might say otherwise, the line work for me is more tolerable than the shading. The shading is just like scratching a sunburn over and over. But the line work, like, I can just lay there and deal with it. But yeah, I was there from 12:30, and then we took a break after I finished my line work, and that was like an hour and a half. and then I finished up and got home around 5:20 this afternoon. So it
It's a
was
long day
a
in the
long
chair.
day. Yeah.
That's yikes. Well,
Yeah.
I hope you heal up quickly.
Yeah, I I hope so too. Just because I can't really like go outside with it, can't go swimming, all that jazz. But worth it. Art is cool, and I get to keep it forever. So
Yay.
yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, without any further ado, I feel like that's the fastest we've ever gotten
That's
through
great.
what we're doing.
Keep moving.
Let's get into the news. First up this week, Disney World is hosting an online job fair to recruit more magic makers.
Yeah, Universal was doing an employment drive just a week or two ago, and now Disney World is following suit. Especially if you are in culinary, food and beverage, or housekeeping, you can not only get paid $14 to $19 an hour, but you can get a $1,000 signing bonus. So they are really searching for people.
Yes, it looks like the online hiring event just ended yesterday, the day that we're recording this, July 31st. But I would imagine that if you applied online through Disney Jobs or went to casting,
Yep.
they
Just
certainly
head on
wouldn't.
down to the casting building. They will welcome you right now.
Yeah, I don't think they would turn you away. Right now, their starting wages range from $14 to $19 per hour, and you get all sorts of benefits like free entry into the park, complimentary tickets, wellness resources, discounts, all that jazz, plus access to the Disney Aspire program if you want to further your secondary education, which is cool.
Yep. A lot of great perks. Just if you do get a job there, try not to spend your whole paycheck in the parks.
Yes. I learned that lesson the hard way when I was a CP. Never again. Next up, Inside the Walt Disney Archives recently debuted at Graceland, and this time the exhibit features some cool Elvis tie-ins.
Yeah, go on to our YouTube channel. There's a really cool video that we've posted from the opening of this. Honestly, I wouldn't have at first thought that the Elvis and Graceland and Disney would be like a natural fit. But this exhibit is really well done. It does have some nods to the King of Rock and Roll, most specifically some Lilo and Stitch items that tie into those characters' love of Elvis.
Let me tell you, I went to Graceland in 2019 on the way to visit my family for the holidays, and I was so upset that they don't let you take pictures in front of the gates anymore. They have
Aw.
like a fake photo
A fake
op.
gate.
Yeah. And I was like, this isn't Lilo and Stitch. I'm going to take the picture. And they just
Yep.
like, before you go to tour the house, they put you in front of this photo op thing and you can take a picture in front of a backdrop.
Just not the same.
Yeah. I think you still can take photos in front of the gates when they're closed at like 5 in the morning. But it's really cool if you are asking yourself, what does Disney have to do with Elvis? They have an exhibition hall where they host traveling museum
Yeah.
exhibits and the like. When I visited, it was a dinosaur exhibit, and I think dinosaurs have even less to do with Elvis
Elvis.
Presley
Yeah,
than
it's
Disney.
they're like any museum that has their core exhibits, and then they have rotating exhibits on different themes. And I think there's some overlap between, especially, that kind of mid-50s era that where both Disneyland was born and also, rock and roll. I think there's overlaps in the fandom there.
Yeah.
Though I don't think Walt himself was a big fan of Elvis. Not as far as I know.
They also had a bunch of other non-Elvis related props, like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride vehicle, costumes from Mary Poppins Returns, the alien from Great Movie Ride,
I was wondering where he went.
Captain Rex from the original Star Tours at Disneyland, and then a Mayan priest from El Rio del Tiempo at Epcot, which I have
Yes.
never seen this before this photograph.
Oh yeah, this was the guy. Okay, so when you're on the Three Caballeros ride, El Gran Fiesta, or what Grand Fiesta Tour, whatever they call it now. You see a screen towards the beginning of the ride at the end of a long tunnel where they're looking for Donald. Instead of a screen, that was originally a scrim, and behind the scrim was this. They called it an animatronic. Honestly, it barely moved, but it was creepy. And I remember as a kid being kind of fascinated by it because you could only sort of half see it when it lit up behind the scrim. Yeah, it's a little disturbing.
And then they also have for you, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids fans, the restored shrinking machine that was featured in Prop Culture when they put it back together and fixed it up in one of the episodes. And then they also had things like a tie that Walt Disney once wore, which is crazy.
Does it still have his sweat? Can we clone his DNA?
Are you gonna sniff it and check?
No. No.
A commissary menu from Walt Disney's Studio Restaurant on the studio lot. All sorts of figures like that flying Dumbo there. Just so many cool things. I wish that the Walt Disney Archives would tour to other places so that I wouldn't have to go to Graceland to see all of this.
Yeah.
But it is so, so cool that they are traveling around with all of these unique artifacts and letting the public have a chance to see stuff that they normally wouldn't.
Road trip? It's like halfway between us, right? We meet in the middle.
I got invited to go to this, and I really wanted to, but I couldn't. It should be there for a while. Let's see. It will be there through January 2nd, 2022, so we have some time
Got till the end of the year.
Something. Yes.
Right.
Self-guided tickets, if you're interested, are just $15.
It's really reasonable for an exhibit like that.
A great deal. And $8 for kids ages 5 to 10. If I remember correctly, you can buy them online or in person at the Graceland Exhibit Center, which is like the compound across the street from Graceland, the house itself. Definitely check that out if you can. I'm super jealous if you get to. Aboard the Disney Wish, which sounds more and more like a ship I want to have a cruise on. They've announced some new adult-focused offerings designed with our vacation needs in mind. So sorry, kids. And when I was writing this up, I immediately thought of you and your affinity for the rainforest room.
I love the rainforest room in the Senses Spa, and they are taking the rainforest room to the next level here with instead of just steam rooms and hot rooms, they've also got an ice room, so you can get like a trendy thermal therapy if you're into that. I'd rather be warm than cold personally. But the room just looks gorgeous, and all of these new adult-only areas look just gorgeous. The one thing I've always loved about the Disney cruises that I've been on is that they have specific areas that cater to the kids and keep the kids away from the adults. And there's a really good, demarcation where the adult areas are, and I did not have any problems going without seeing screaming kids when I wanted to, when I was on Disney boats. I would definitely, if I went on this, assuming that they changed the pricing, because right now the boats that are going out, the rainforest rooms are, you have to rent them out for your family exclusively, and I think it's like $175 for an hour and 3/4. Which is a little much for me. I liked it when you could just get a pass and go in and out whenever you wanted. But hopefully that can return someday. But beyond the rainforest room, there are some great salon opportunities. If you've been an adult and you're jealous of the kids getting to go to the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, now there's basically the adult version of that.
Yeah, this one is called the Untangled Salon, and yes, it is inspired by Tangled, with all sorts of colors like purples and golds and pinks, and it has some of her art along the walls. There's a chandelier that looks like the magic flower that makes her hair glow and grow. You can get a variety of treatments, including manicures, pedicures, teeth whitening, and skin treatments, which I thought was really fun.
Or if you're feeling piratey, there is a Hook's Barbery, inspired by the Peter Pan villain, and it's got lots of wood grain and leather seats and even a hidden bar where you can have pre-prohibition bourbon and other premium spirits.
That one sounds really cool, and I'm sad that we didn't get concept art for it because I would love to see what that looks like. And then they also have the Keg and Compass, which is a pub stylized like a late 1800s Norwegian sailor's map room. And
Hopefully,
the entire
it will smell better than an actual 1800s Norwegian sailor.
I would hate to know what that smells like. The entire ceiling is covered in maps that kind of low key point out a few Disney locations and connections to characters like Moana and Ursula, and important locations related to the Disney company in general, and the construction of the Disney Wish, which was in Germany, I think. I think that's where they built the ship.
I'll back you up on that, sure.
I think so. Don't quote me
More
on
importantly, they have 3 custom craft beers that you're only going to be able to get there.
Which sounds super enticing, so long as they're not IPAs. Sorry for IPA fans out there.
I'm right there with you.
But this seems really cool, like a great nighttime date place. Though I couldn't help but notice that this concept art, at least the layout, is very similar to the Star Wars bar that will also be on the ship.
Well, they should all be sort of in the same district, and it's also similar to the layout of the sports bar that's on the Fantasy, I believe. I mean, it's a bar, so there's only so many ways you can arrange it.
And then they also have announced Nightingales, which is a refined piano bar inspired by Cinderella's rendition of Sing Sweet Nightingale from the 1950 animated feature. And it will offer an extensive menu of fine wines, bubblies, and handcrafted cocktails.
And if you're feeling a little swampy, the Bayou, which is inspired by The Princess and the Frog, is also going to be available. And that's got magnolia blossoms, lily pads, and a canopy of twinkling fireflies overhead, which that sounds really pretty.
It sounds like Blue Bayou, and I love Blue Bayou.
Yep.
They've also got... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that they've got also their own creative cocktails, specialty coffees, and, of course, live entertainment and music.
You forgot the most important part.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
The beignets.
Beignets.
How could you forget the beignets?
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I don't want to shortchange the beignets.
I wonder if they will be regular shaped or Mickey shaped.
Everything tastes better with a Mickey shape.
This is true. Six Flags Fiesta Texas announced a very big thing this past week called Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger, the world's steepest dive roller coaster, set to open next summer.
Yeah, this is a custom designed dive coaster. It's from B&M, who here in Florida we know SheiKra, which is over at Busch Gardens, Tampa. And this looks like SheiKra's much bigger brother. The drop does a 95-degree beyond vertical first drop, which is pretty intense, and you're going to kind of stare into the face of that for a few seconds as it lets you hang there at the top of the first hill before you go into that 150-foot dive. And unlike some other dive coasters that are pretty much a one-trick pony, it looks like this one's got some serious inversions and a major helix, so it should be a little bit more to it. 8 intense inversions, sorry. That's quite a lot for a dive coaster. So this looks like it's going to pack a pretty big punch.
John in the chat says theming on Dr. Diabolical is problematic currently.
Steampunk is problematic. I'm not sure.
I haven't seen any of that discourse.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But
I think everything is problematic.
I will definitely have to go look into that. As for the ride itself, it made me do like a gulp when I saw the whole layout of it. It's so intense looking, and Is it bad to say I was surprised to see a custom designed roller coaster going into Six Flags Park when they usually just copy and paste
It
their
is. I mean,
rides?
well, the Six Flags chain has had a really important relationship with B&M going back all the ways to the Batman the Ride, which was like kind of the first inverted coaster design that then got cloned all over the world. They've had a good partnership in the past, but in more recent years, it's been like SeaWorld that's been, putting the money into those big custom design coasters. It's good to see Six Flags getting back in the game with something brand new.
Yeah, John said it's related to the virus, so
I didn't,
interesting.
I didn't pick up on that part. So.
I didn't either, but the storyline is that Doctor Diabolical is on a quest to create menacing creatures to frighten the world, and will do so by using the roller coaster to capture the essence of human adrenaline and fear. It sounds like
So
Horror Night's house.
it sounds like Doctor Doom's Fearfall, pretty much.
So we'll have
Yeah.
to wait and see. This is set to open next summer during the park's 30th anniversary celebration. Maybe I'll actually get to go to a Six Flags park. This one's in Texas, so
Yay.
yeah, I will be so excited up until I get to here, and then I will immediately regret all of my decisions that led me to that point.
Yep.
I know we've got some Peppa Pig fans in the chat. You've got a whole lineup of attractions and rides to look forward to when Peppa Pig theme park opens next year.
I am hoping I will be able to kidnap one of my little nieces and take them to this, because I would feel very awkward going to a Peppa Pig theme park without a child. But all of the rides are designed, I think, with basically no height limits. It looks like pretty much everything, the whole family can ride together. So I could get my coaster credit on Daddy Pig's roller coaster, which looks like, even smaller and cuter than like the Woody Woodpecker coaster at Universal. And they've got like a balloon ride, they've got a dinosaur ride, just pretty much every super cute little kiddie ride that you can imagine, but designed so that adults and kids can kind of experience them together.
They also
Which
have
is what Walt would have wanted.
yeah. They also have a cool indoor cinema situation, which
Oh.
you can go in and watch episodes of Peppa Pig. And I also, if you do go, I need a boomerang of you jumping in muddy puddles.
Yep, there are so many creative splash pads and playgrounds and walkthrough experiences in this, along with the lineup of rides. Looks like it's going to be a really great addition for the littlest kids to the Legoland Resort.
Yeah, and I know that this is just concept art, but I love how wide open it is. It feels so
Well, it's
expansive,
got to have plenty of room to push strollers.
and for kids to just run amok. But it looks like a ton of fun. I will look strange if I try to do any of it. And I don't have any children to borrow, so you'll have to do it.
I just hope it has a little more shade than it looks like in the concept art. That's the one thing
Yes.
that seems to be missing. Big trees, and occasionally you see one of these shade canopy structures. But it gets hot out there, and I don't want little infants dropping in the heat because they were waiting for Peppa Pig.
Yes, I imagine that they would, because Legoland is currently working on putting a giant shade structure over at Miniland
Yes,
USA.
can't wait till that happens.
And this kind of, at the cinema concept art is what we are looking at. This kind of looks like a themed canopy.
Or it might be indoor or outdoor. Like,
That was what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It was either one or the other. So keeping our fingers crossed that
Yep.
preschoolers will not
Melt.
succumb to heat stroke and melt. And can't wait to see this open in 2022.
I think you have an offer of a child to borrow in the chat.
Excuse me, you do have children to borrow. Okay.
All right.
And then when I need to visit Peppa Pig theme park, I will borrow the children and then immediately return them to you.
Hopefully undamaged.
Well, no promises. I'm kidding. And then starting this past
Yeah.
Friday, July 30th, face masks are once again required indoors at all of Walt Disney World's theme parks and indoor areas.
Yeah. I
Here
was
we are.
just leaving. I was just leaving California. Feels like yesterday, but it was 2 weeks ago, when they were reimposing indoor masking at Universal, and Disneyland and Disney World announced very shortly after that. So we're kind of right back where we were months ago,
Yep.
where you've got to, you don't have to wear a mask outdoors, but whether or not you are vaccinated, everyone is going to be back to wearing masks inside. That's from the minute you walk into the attraction queue until you exit the attraction, and also when you're on your any kind of transportation like a bus or a monorail.
And not long after this was announced for Walt Disney World, Disneyland followed
Hmm.
suit as well. And previously, they had fully vaccinated guests didn't have to wear their masks at the
Yeah.
park.
Yeah, I was there for the last few days of being able to ride rides inside at Disneyland
Yeah.
without the mask, but now we're right back where we were.
And then Universal Hollywood made the move before everyone else
Hmm.
about a
Yep.
month ago, I think. And it hasn't that was because of the LA County mask mandate
Yep.
that went
Yeah, it
out.
went in LA County first and then Orange County. I think Disney in California just went ahead and made the decision even without the county's decision. But here in Orange County, Florida, our mayor, because of our governor, he can't necessarily enforce any kind of mandate, but he can encourage private businesses to have a mandate on their private property, which is what Disney has now done.
Yeah. I think SeaWorld Orlando is encouraging guests to follow the CDC guidelines, but I don't know if they've made it a straight up rule. This hasn't been updated to reflect that.
Yeah, we can talk about what Universal Orlando is doing, but
Yes.
SeaWorld has not announced any changes yet that I'm aware of.
Yep. And then Universal Orlando
Hmm.
is requiring team members to wear masks, but
Yeah.
not guests while indoors. Which, eh,
I think it's a strategic decision based on their experiences with guests getting unruly over being told they had to wear a face mask. I think this just gives them an out where a team member can remind someone, can encourage someone, but when it comes down to it, they don't need to get in a fight. They don't need to get security involved. They can just back off and say, "You do you." Whether that's responsible for all the other guests around them is an excellent question. But I think Universal's kind of going the path of least resistance. They know there was a lot of friction and frustration when team members were constantly having to enforce that rule. And honestly, they can barely staff things to get people to just do the job they're supposed to do right now. Asking them to do their job and be the mask police at the same time is hard.
yeah, I don't think anyone gets paid enough to be the mask police. If I'm being honest, I would hope that most guests are nice, but I am not naive to think that there are
Yeah, I
not
say,
guests who
have
are
you
not
worked at a
nice.
theme park?
Yes, I have.
They're not all nice. And the whole masking debate seems to be bringing out the worst in a lot of people. So, I was the same way when I was on the Mardi Gras ship just a few days ago, that they were encouraging people to, if they were not vaccinated, to wear a mask indoors, but there was no hard rule. And I personally chose to keep my mask on whenever I was inside. But uh, yeah, on the one hand, Disney makes it, mandatory rule. We don't have to, that it is what it is. But then the question is, a rule is only as good as you can enforce it. And I don't know. I'm just waiting for another round of news stories about guests and cast members getting into conflict over masks and it turning ugly. You know, we had a whole wave of videos of people getting thrown out of the parks, and it kind of slowed down, and people had gotten used to it. And now that we're reversing the rules, I'm afraid it's going to flare up again.
Like we said last week, it's really hard to get that genie back in the bottle once you've let it out. And
Yep.
folks have had a taste of, you know,
People
breathing
have
without the
people have
mask. And
short attention spans, and you know, we don't like going backwards. We like progress, and even if it's on a carousel, we don't like going backwards.
King Kino in the chat makes a good point. Bring on the mask for HHN.
I'll take masks over plexiglass. I think
Yes.
that the masks have proven that they do have a positive effect. I don't think that plexiglass was ever really shown to be uh, any way medically effective. So I'm happy if everyone has to wear a mask, that's fine, as long as we don't have to have plexiglass.
Yeah, I would like to hope that they might let face masks be optional indoors or in outdoor situations, but if you go in the houses, you have to have one just for like that one thing, because you're in
Because you're
such
right
close,
up in people's faces. You're everyone's business.
and
Yeah.
not all of those buildings that the houses are in have really high quality air conditioning and air filtration things, and it's just safer for everyone, safer for the performers who can't wear masks, or
Yep.
you know, it,
Yeah.
it
Agreed.
yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, keeping my fingers crossed. And right before we get into news in the queue, or finish news in the queue, this is where, if you are listening to the audio version, I will throw in an interview that we had with Greg Hall from Universal Creative, who did some magical things on the Jurassic World Velocicoaster.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating interview. It's a great companion to the Q&A I did with Shelby Honia. I totally butchered the pronunciation of her last name. Sorry. Um, but that's in our current issue of the magazine. And so get a copy of the magazine and then listen to this podcast and compare some of the answers that the two of them gave to some of the same questions.
All right, enjoy. All right, and if you're still watching this, let's have a quick word from our sponsor.
Here at Destinations with Character Travel, we offer the best experience with your travels. Need to visit the thrilling Disneyland Resort, Walt Disney World? Maybe lounge about on a Disney cruise or any other major cruise line? No problem. So if you're looking for a stress and hassle-free vacation, visit us at www.destinationswithcharacter.com. Contact us today and let us plan a magical vacation for you and your family.
It's time for the main attraction!
All right, and for this week's main attraction, something I was surprised by. I wasn't expecting this. Disney has officially put out the statement that all non-union salaried employees in the U.S. are required to be vaccinated for COVID-19.
And that also includes hourly employees. It pretty much covers anyone who isn't in the union, and they are in discussions with the union over this. But this is a big step, especially for Central Florida. They're like the biggest single-site employer in the U.S. and the major employer in Central Florida. So this could really move the needle on our vaccination rates here in the Orlando area.
Yeah, this is huge. Currently, for those who are at work, back to work, and are not vaccinated, they will have 60 days to comply with the new rules. So they will have to find whether it be the 2-dose or the 1-dose vaccine to get vaccinated. And then once Disney has come to an agreement with the unions, they will likely disseminate that information amongst union leaders. But this is a big deal
Yeah. There are also, if you are trying to get hired there, you're not going to be able to start until you have become fully vaccinated. Um, and there are going to be exceptions, exemptions for medical reasons or religious reasons. We don't have all of those specific details, but for the most part, the goal is to get their entire workforce immunized.
Yeah, this is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't really seen other
I believe
corporations do
I saw
this.
something about Walmart, maybe,
Okay.
and a couple other big corporations. But I think that's what's ultimately, I don't think the government, the federal government mandating vaccines is going to happen. But the closest thing that we have is, these mega corporations that if enough of them get together and say, this is what we demand of our employees, then that's certainly going to push some of the people who were, maybe it's not going to push the people who are really anti-vaccination. Maybe they'll find other jobs. But the people who are just hesitant or kind of on the fence, hopefully this will push a lot of them to go ahead and get it done.
I think the only thing that would make this even more enticing would be if they facilitated vaccinations, like at
Yeah,
the Epcot Health Center
well, I mean that
backstage,
makes
or
sense to not just mandate that your employees do this, but this should be something that you get paid hours off to do, and that they do on site, and they make that part of your work day, and not make you work your 8-hour shift and then go figure out where you're going to go off site to try to get this done. Disney certainly has the operational skills and resources to do that. So hopefully, and that them they might have a program for that already right now. I know they did have testing programs on site earlier, so I would not be surprised if that's
yeah.
part of it.
And also maybe recovery time.
Yeah,
Because at least, like,
absolutely.
for me
I
personally,
need after my second one, I needed a day. Yeah.
I I got the Johnson and Johnson one, so mine was just the
Hmm.
one dose. But like 3 hours after I got it, I was feeling like straight garbage.
Yeah.
You couldn't get me to do anything besides lay on the couch and feel sorry for myself. So, I think that's definitely necessary too. Whether or not Disney would actually do that, I don't
I'm
know.
curious to see if Universal follows them.
Yeah, and then SeaWorld Parks and Resorts, so that would cover SeaWorld and Busch Gardens,
Hmm.
and yeah. Do you feel safer? I mean, not implying that you feel
I don't.
unsafe,
Well,
but
I don't know if I feel safe anywhere doing anything anymore.
that's
There
fair.
is no such thing as safe anymore. I think that we as a society will just be safer once we get herd immunity, whatever, above 80% of the whole population. There's always going to be some holdouts, but we could be a lot further along than we are right now,
Yeah.
and the Delta variant would not be filling up the hospitals. Right now, I know Advent Health, which is the hospital closest to me, is at black condition, which isn't something that
Oh
I
my
knew that they
god.
had. And other hospitals, they're running out of ICU beds. Here in Florida, the numbers have basically higher than at any other point in the pandemic, including when we all, decide to stay indoors for 2 weeks, and so it's really serious here, and you know, if our if our state government is not taking it seriously, then at least our big employers seem to be.
Yeah. And I know it can be kind of divisive as far as like feeling like you're being forced to do it. But I
I mean,
don't.
we're forced to do. I'm not allowed to go walk into a restaurant with bare feet and without wearing my underwear. I mean, there's all sorts of things that infringe on my freedom because they're just basic health and safety. I might want the freedom to go and pee at the pool at the hotel, but that's not safe. And I don't know that, like, if you look at the numbers of people who have had adverse reactions to the vaccine, it's one of the safest things you could put in your body. Like you probably have about as much chance of getting hurt from taking an aspirin, just statistically speaking. And so don't do it for you. Do it for all the people who can't get the vaccine for whatever reason. If
Or
you
if they're
can,
kids.
yeah, exactly. Until we have this approved for the under 12 crowd, especially when we're talking about theme parks, you're surrounded by people who can't yet be vaccinated. So, at least do your part to not be the one spreading it.
Yeah. Think about the kids.
And if we lose any listeners because of that apparently deeply controversial political statement, I'm very sorry, but I want people to come back alive from their vacations so they can go back and have more vacations in the future.
Yes.
And I think that's what Disney wants too, because you don't really want to kill your audience.
No. Rodney said great points.
Thank you, Rodney.
Especially that last one. That last one was very much the...
Yes. We don't want to kill our audience either.
No, we don't, which is why...
We love you.
We love you. And this is where we would thank you for being here if you were part of the Attractions Magazine subscription group, but we don't have any new subscribers this week.
So sad.
Tiny
Call up your
violins.
friends and family and be like, have you joined yet? Like, do it. Come on.
If you are interested, there are 4 tiers you can pick from, and if you choose the club or VIP tiers, the week after you subscribe, you get a shout out from us telling you how great you are and how grateful we are that you decided to support the podcast and the magazine.
We could be saying your name with great enthusiasm right now, so get on it.
Yes. And we also have our summer issue, which Seth mentioned earlier with his interview in there. If you are interested, go to attractionsmagazine.com/store and pick it up.
And at this point, I would wait for you to thank our sponsor once more.
Sorry. See,
We're going to get this segue clean one of these shows. Every
One-
week we get to this point and there's this awkward silence like, do I go,
And,
do
like,
you go,
one
do
of
I go,
us-
do you go?
okay. Thank you, Destinations of Character Travel. We are eternally grateful that you support us. And this is now where Seth will go into his segue.
That was so smooth. I just want to remind everyone, please, to help us get out the word about this podcast by going over to Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating, not 3, not 2, not 1, and definitely not 7.5, because you can't do that. Just a 5-star rating, that's all we ask. And if you really like us, please leave us a positive review, because that helps get the word out about Attractions Magazine and all the good work that we do.
Yes. Now, Seth, if you would tell the folks at home where they can find you on the interwebs.
Well, you can find me and my books at theunofficialguides.com or at the UG series on Twitter or at the Unofficial Guides on Instagram. And Brittany, why don't you tell the good folks the same about you?
You can find me at Brittany Tuttle. That's BrittaniTuttle. Yes, it's both funny on Twitter and Instagram, but also every day at attractionsmagazine.com, at Attractions on Twitter, at Attractions Magazine on Instagram, and youtube.com/attractionsmagazine, where you've been hanging out with us for the past 43 minutes or so.
But it might be longer if you listen to the interview.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that audio version, please. I work really hard on it every week. And until next week, I hope you guys stay safe, try something new, but most importantly, have fun. And we will see you next time.
Bye.